We're like the traveling Woolberries over here.
Move on down the line.
I'll take that compliment.
No, it's a good. No, I meant that it's
That's a super group, isn't it?
Yeah, they are. You're going to look at the demographics of this one and go, damn it. These demographics are worthless.
We're singing haven't you in my old Kentucky home. Kentucky.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Kentucky Commons Radio Hour. I'm Michael Muller, joined today in Louisville, Kentucky at Brewgrass Homebrew Supply with one John Ronayne.
Hello.
David Satterley.
Hi.
And we have some beer royalty with us today. And David, why don't I let you introduce our royal guest?
Our royal guest of the evening comes from a long line of beer drinkers, but we just call him Todd. So welcome, Todd. Todd Pharris.
Todd Pharris of Beer Manager at Liquor Barn, which is a kind of a regional wine and spirits shop chain in the area.
And we'll get into it more later, but maybe one of the last people who actually drank a beer at Silo.
I'm one of the few that's still left that hasn't lost a toe, at least.
Yes, hasn't got you yet.
Damn, how'd you know about my missing toe?
So David has a little bit of a game for us to start already, but we also have a great beer to start and open the show up with Royal Oil from Ball and...
Are you going to say it?
Ball and Bush?
Bull and Bush.
Bull and Bush. I was gonna make an effort there to try and rescue, but then I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get it right.
That's
either.
not right. Bull and Bush out of Colorado, and actually this bottle was provided to us courtesy of a friend of the show and friend of mine, Tristan Chan from PorchDrinking.com.
Yeah,
Tristan, thank you so much for this bottle. We appreciate it. We're going to enjoy it.
I did forget about the rule of the show that says David Satterley has to break through wax seals before we start recording.
Yeah.
Just
keep it going. If you want to hand it over here,
You'll come for the bush, but of the bull, you'll stay for the bush.
yeah, exactly.
Is the wax the bush? I don't know.
So as we break into the Royal Oil, do you want to give us a little bit of kind of what's the best place to start? Like, how did you originally get into beer in the first place? How old were you? What were the times? What music was on the radio?
Hold on. We're getting this out, really. But part of what I wanted to go over is, as we drink this Royal beer, once I open it, is why did we refer to you, Todd, sir, as royalty?
Yeah.
Well, in the Louisville beer community, you have either met or personally know 95% of the guests we've already had on the podcast.
Oh, true.
That's true.
So I'm gonna run through them, and you're gonna tell me how or why.
Would you like me to open that while you do this segment?
Nope.
Okay.
Just here.
You are struggling with that wax.
I'm here.
And if you'd like to see David Satterley struggling with that wax, we now have the full feed of the video podcast. We're experimenting with multiple angles tonight, so you guys can let us know how that works out. And then you can find the full feed as well if you want to help support the show, help support the work of Louisville Ale Trail over on our Patreon.
I need a cigarette after that.
Yeah, that was a good job, David.
The better the wax, the better the beer, I think, usually, right?
Well, let's get this poured up. And we're going to go through a lightning round real quick. So one person that actually bailed on the podcast tonight that I know you know, Drew Johnson.
Oh, Uncle Drew.
He was he was the beer buyer at Liquor Barn, so my boss, and then he abandoned us a couple times, and which that's fine.
Oh, he abandoned this podcast tonight.
Yeah, it's a trend.
It's a trend. I see the tears in your eyes, and I just want you to know it'll be okay. Let's go with Andy Cobb.
Well, I just met Andy from drinking beer. I'd really know, sorry. I wish it was a better story.
If he
saved me from a lion.
Do you have a good Andy story? No? Andy, you're unremarkable.
I was just going to say, it's like the royal side of Louisville beer with the royalty meeting like the administrative, like the mayor of Louisville Beer Snobs of Andy Cobb.
Correct.
So,
what about a one Liz Vale?
Yeah, I actually met Liz when she worked at Drinkswell, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, years ago. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's
probably
awesome.
the best.
And
now she's not in. She's what? She bartends part time
at West 6.
Liz, you don't know what day we're recording this, so happy birthday. I'm pretty sure it's your birthday today.
It's like yesterday.
Okay. Well, she doesn't know what day it is.
Yeah.
What about one of our most esteemed guests, Rob Lee?
He was on this?
He was. He was on this before you.
The reason that you're on this is because you complained about Rob being on it before you got on it. So.
Yeah, that was probably one of the disappointments of my lifetime.
That's great.
It's
guys went
like
on,
it's like if Rob Schneider won an Oscar before Meryl Streep.
I thought you were gonna go like say Adam Sandler or something, but that's so much better. That's so much better. Yeah.
But he's a great guy other than that.
What about Brian Holton from Monarch?
Oh yeah.
Formerly Beer Engine.
I think the first time I met him, Drew introduced me to him in Danville at Beer Engine, actually.
Nice. I never made it out there because I'm 5 years old. So.
Yeah, you weren't old enough.
It was a good spot. Monarch's a great spot too, but Beer Engine was super cool.
It was cool, and it was in Danville, so it stood out.
There was also lore down in Danville. There was always a rumor that for like 1 year, back in whatever year that would have been, like 2012 or something, Danville, Kentucky had the highest number of breweries per capita of anywhere in the nation. Population of like what? 8,000 and then like 2 breweries rocking or whatever. Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the rumor.
So Lore's not around anymore, of course. Okay.
Nor is Beer Engine.
So I know that, but Lore's not around anymore. So I can say that all of their beers tasted like there were dirty pennies in them. I can say that.
Yeah, I poured beer for them at some kind of a little festival sometime, and the owner was a super nice guy.
Oh yeah.
The beer was.
Yeah.
Talk about pissing away money.
Yeah.
One of our more notorious guests, one John King.
Yeah.
Problematic.
Yeah.
Problematic.
So the first time my brother ever met John King, he was dressed in it was at Bo and Luke Day when they had those. He was wearing Daisy Dukes. He was doing lunges in front of us.
It's on brand.
Sounds
And my
about
brother
right.
was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
On top of the General Lee or just in the...
Or by our table, unfortunately.
He probably didn't even know anything was actually going on that day. He just showed up.
Yeah, that's true. He's like, "What?"
That sounds like John King's alter ego, Buck Stronghold.
Oh, I miss Buck Stronghold.
I don't.
Gentlemen,
He also cupped my balls at Country Boy one time, and that was not cool.
Oh my.
not
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Someone
is
else we've
wild.
had, Scotty Likens. What? Just pulling it back.
No, it's great. He always calls me Tom Harris, and he thinks that's the funniest thing maybe that's ever happened.
It's like the worst dad joke for your name
Yeah, he goes,
possible.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
How do you?
That's my bad Scott Likens.
That's actually not that bad, man. That's pretty good.
I think that gets there. Well, you know Molesky as well. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you all like to argue. And then Rubo and Spencer.
Oh, yeah.
From Atrium.
From Atrium, yeah.
Yeah, them I know.
But safe to say, you've been a pillar both in height and stature, but also in friendship throughout all of the Louisville beer scene for a long time, well beyond my days. So we're super excited to have you. I'm happy that you're here.
Back when I was younger, I mean, I didn't work in the beer industry, but I would partake and just try to keep it under wraps.
Is this Vegas or once you came back?
No, here.
Okay.
I don't like I don't like causing a ruckus.
Ruckus.
Just low profile. Just enjoy the beer.
I try.
Yeah.
But,
Speaking of the beer, the Royal Oil, I would say, is pretty good.
It is
Yeah,
good.
thanks for the bottle. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Very
Tristan.
good.
Very light, very chocolatey, very rich. Borders on that kind of barley wine sweetness, but
I think this is barley wine.
very. Is it a barley
It's a
wine?
strong ale. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, hey, that's a great descriptor.
I remember. This is, by the way, the most recent batch that came out. I think back in October. I think we have had Royal Oil on the show before. I don't remember what year it was, but Roger Huff from Gallup Fox brought it during his podcast episode. I remember not liking that bottle at all, and this one I enjoy way more.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not. I don't drink fresh barley wine that often. I guess usually to bottle somebody's been sitting on for a couple of years or whatever. But it says cellar up to 25 years on the side, which I remember I love about their brand.
Yeah.
But no, this tastes great.
And yeah, I mean, you can see this. It's bottle number 0997, barrel aged, no age statement on that, but just it's a beautiful bottle too. And you don't see bottles like this anymore, especially with the wax and seal.
Oh, I love the wax. That's
Yeah, the
Yeah,
wax and seal
that's
is
the best part.
People are putting barley wine in
Absolutely.
cans these days. These kids.
The
Kids these
the
days.
most popular barley wine in America is being canned. Yes.
What do you think that is? Old Chub or something? What's the most popular barley wine in America?
The most provocative is probably the more recent release of Double Barrel VSOJ.
Yeah. Old Chub's a Scottish ale, I think.
Which,
anyway.
which I think we can say now, but when we visited Chicago,
Triple barrel, yeah.
we got to try the triple barrel under a sealed NDA.
Oh, you're bringing this up again. Great.
Well, this
No,
time, like,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, you can
You can talk about it now.
yeah, I mean, you can go back and listen to that episode that we did with Revolution back in August,
Mhm.
whatever. And what happened right afterwards was a great beer moment. Marty, their what's his title? Like just the head cellarist,
Master blender,
head cellarist, whatever.
director,
Director of barrel programming,
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
He was like, "Y'all want to try the best beer I've ever had in my life?" And
The answer is always yes.
yes. And I was like, yes, of course. And then it became like a whole thing. Like I just thought he was just going to casually bring out a bottle or a can and like, okay, here we go. First of all, David was on a work call. I don't think you could actually even come.
It was the last day of me being employed at this place and the last call I had to attend.
Bro, that's when you just like hang up the phone. Senior
Right,
moment.
Well,
I'm going through a tunnel.
Yeah.
But
He's a
to be
professional,
fair, you
though.
Yeah,
also
that's
didn't
true.
even know what was going on. So like you didn't know that you probably in hindsight you know that you should have just hung up.
I have
But-
regrets.
But Revolution is like a production brewery, so they take safety very seriously. So I mean, I was wearing Chaco's sandals at the time, and so he was just like, "Okay, well, actually, we need closed-toed shoes. Do you have any?" I was like, "No, I'm sorry, man, bummer." And he was like, "You know what? I think I have a spare pair of boots in my office.
Nice.
Stay here. I'll be right back." And he comes back with the boots. Oh shit, you need socks too. Hold on, I'll be right back. So like, he goes through all these steps to get me like ready to go into the production facility, and then I go back into the maze of Revolution. And I think he calls it behind like the blue wall or the blue veil or something. And it's just a way that they conceal all their barrels at Revolution. And he's just like, all right, here's what I need you to do. I need you to hold the flashlight. I need you to get ready because I need to climb up over all these stacks of barrels, probably 10 barrels high. And he's just like monkeying around up there to try to get to this one specific barrel that he already was in there earlier today. And then he was just like, I'm going to hand you a glass and then you can try it when I get back down. So I did that. And he was like, now, Michael, because he might not have even known my name. I don't know, whatever. It's like, you're the first non-employee to have this beer and you can't have it probably ever again. And you can't even talk about it until after we release it. I was like, okay, that sounds good. And then we brought it back to David, glass and everything. But it was just like a whole production for what I would argue is one of the best beers I've ever had in my life.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was like a communion where they're like, you're the first person to
Yeah.
ever do
Beer,
this.
beer took me here a
But
moment.
Yeah.
but that being said, I don't really remember all that much about the specific beer. I know there's a description that came out just recently. Do you happen to?
I don't have it pulled up right now. That was what was eventually labeled as the Rioter's Reserve or a triple barrel VSOJ.
Nice.
So 3 barrels, blended, barley wine, great. Octane too. I think it was
Well, yeah,
upper
yeah.
18% or
I
something.
imagine, yeah.
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 Oh yeah. It's still great. Anyway, so they do
Jet
canned
fuel.
barley wine now. That's the point of this.
Okay.
Jet fuel.
Jet fuel, yeah.
Yeah, jet fuel, 100%.
But I mean, that's like some new hotness. But since we have a guest that has a little more experience than us, I think we maybe take a little trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
Take a trip down memory lane.
Sure.
Sure. He's like, I don't remember these things. So, in the state of nostalgia, we wanted to taste through a couple of beers that may have been the only options.
Yeah, let me
when
pull
you
those
came
out here.
up.
While I prepare these
these.
too, do you want to give us a little primer on just Liquor Barn and how you got into this, when you got into the whole thing, and just kind of how you grew up in the craft beer scene? And I'll grab
Sure.
the bottles.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, the first, when I was young, there were no options. I full disclosure, I am 57 years old. Okay. So when I was young, there were, I didn't even like beer because my grandfather would give me, some Fall City, not the new Fall City,
It's old fault.
yeah, or Sterling or something. And it was from a can and it tasted like the can. It wasn't lined like it is now, That was terrible. And So, but in the not in the early '90s, Silo opened up
Here in Louisville.
here in Louisville. It's where it was the basement of Silo is where Mile Wide is now.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
So that all right.
Yeah.
So like diamonds.
Diamonds, where Diamonds is,
Or Jillian's.
or Jillian's
Yeah.
was that's where Silo was. And I mean, I didn't know this at the time, but David Pierce was the brewer who ended up at BBC. Okay. I mean, I didn't know who brewed the beer at the time, and I just got something like a red ale or something, whatever. And it was good. Yeah, it was, and
You remember what year that would have been?
um,
Ish, or what music was on the radio?
well, so 92. So I'm guessing
Tom Petty?
Nirvana was.
Nirvana,
was
yeah.
on- was on
I was one.
there. Yeah.
Uh,
See.
I hate you all.
No, that's
I'm
no.
older than them too.
So here's my question again, and not to derail this too much, but
No,
like,
it's
was
fine.
that a place that, breweries today? I feel like there's a certain segment of the population, beer nerds, is like, hey, let's go to this brewery, let's check out this new brewery. At the time, was Silos just like a place that people were really interested in checking out, or
No.
was like a little corner in the neighborhood?
No, I'm just saying. I mean, I
saw the 1,000-yard
it
stare in
wasn't
your
even,
eyes.
It
when you said
wasn't
that.
even. I'll admit, I wasn't a regular there. I'd go there and try a beer every once in a while. I remember watching the last episode of Cheers there. They had a big watch party there for that, and they ended up, to make money, they had to start selling Bud Light and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then they went.
Do you remember how was the beer?
I thought, at the time, I thought the like a couple. I only had like the red ale and maybe a porter.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
So this was like the first like fledgling of a modern Louisville beer era, would you
Yeah.
say?
Mhm.
Everything got shut down during Prohibition. Like even those ones you'd mentioned that Grandpa would let you sip a beer, Sterling and Fall City and Fairs and stuff. They all
It was
basically
the
kind of
Well,
It
by
was
the
the
time,
third brewery to second or third
Yeah.
to open up at the time.
yeah.
by the time he that I was young and he let me try them, they were owned by other people and shells of their former
Yeah.
selves. Yeah.
So, and there'd been a few other little like pop ups here and there, but it seems like Silos was the first one that kind of like found a niche and kind of started the regrowth of craft beer in Louisville.
And
yes.
it's all predating me, so I'm
Yeah.
just asking questions. But haven't we discussed a Brownings before?
And then Brownings
whereas
was-
ATG
yep.
is currently.
Yes.
Okay.
And they built out that brew house. So shout out Brownings because that that whole
Victorian
system that they
era.
have back there is
Yes.
nuts, man.
And they had an IPA called She Devil. It was fantastic.
Okay.
It was a legitimate, old school West Coast bitter IPA, double IPA. Very good.
And David Pierce also brewed there too
Mhm.
at Brownings.
I don't know.
Believe so.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like he was there for a
Yeah.
little bit and then moved on to start BBC, which was one of the next. That's probably the biggest. That's probably when it started
BBC
to
was
catch
before
on.
Browning.
Okay,
so,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, yeah, this is why you're here.
No,
Straighten
but,
straighten
but
us out.
BBC, you'd go there in like 90. Now that was always popular.
Is this the 3rd Street?
Here's
Look-
No, the one
St.
in St.
Matthews.
Matthews.
I don't know. Here's some trivia for you. Do you know where David Pierce first brewed in Louisville, commercially and professionally?
No.
Well, there wasn't that many options because we already talked about 3 of them, but there was another place that people don't really know about, and it was literally just this restaurant called Charlie's Restaurant.
I've heard that, but
Yeah, yeah.
I've never was
And
there.
yeah, it was a cream ale, and they basically the restaurant was just like, we want a house beer, and the law says that we can do that now. So why don't we? Why is anybody doing this? So he just brewed Charlie's cream ale or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I guess there was really not much more growth after BBC and then Brownings until we started seeing like Apocalypse and Against the Grain or the next ones I could think of in the growth.
Cumberland,
Cumberland,
in
yeah.
2000.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
because I lived around that time. I lived by Bowman Field, and I would go to Cumberland a lot.
It was a great spot too.
It was great.
Yeah.
Their beers were fantastic. The food,
Yeah, the food was
because
fantastic.
they had all the Sullivan students were.
Oh, I never
Yeah.
made that connection.
Yeah.
That explains it. Yeah, dude, their jerk chicken.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the jerk chicken wings and
Yeah.
the sandwich.
So
yeah.
good. We recently got to do when they kind of did a hometown Craft House did the honoring their old red ale recipe,
Mhm.
and then they also brought back this jerk spiced wings recipe for one night only, which was really really fun. Shout out. And then that kind of led us to where we are now. Then ATG opened around 2012, I think, and I think Apocalypse was the same year. I think Apocalypse was a little bit first, but I could be wrong about that.
No, Apocalypse was after ATG.
Were they after? Okay. I think I maybe just knew Leah first. Maybe that's the situation. And then in the, after then, it's really just been like parabolic in terms of how we've grown as a beer city and a community of homebrewers starting breweries, which I've gotten to see a lot of those people go through.
But you really didn't have any options back then.
No.
That's our point. Like
No,
you just
no.
didn't.
No.
So we have a couple of beers on the table in front of us. I feel like these were your options at one point in time.
So now there's a couple I left off. One, Pete's Wicked Ale is no longer made. So if I opened a bottle for you, would not enjoy it. And Newcastle is made in America now.
Completely different.
It's not the same. I mean, at all. At least all of these right now are the same as they were when I tried them.
Or
Maybe.
No,
Maybe. There's
no,
one- there's
for
one
now,
exception.
For now. Oh, I know.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We'll get into the politics of recipe modulation.
Yep.
let's start with the
Pale Ale.
The pale
Sierra
ale,
Nevada.
Yeah.
right?
Sierra
Let's
Nevada
do it.
Pale Ale. Do you remember the first time you ever had a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale?
Yes. I don't remember where, but I just remember thinking nothing will ever be hoppier than this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was gonna
And-
kind of ask you, like, if
And I called it the beer that makes me thirsty. But
Yeah.
yeah.
so if there were no breweries to go to, I mean, where were you going? What were you drinking?
Well, there are places I remember Ramsey's used to have Fuller's ESB on draft.
Nice. That's another
It was-
Louisville institution.
It was fantastic.
There was also, I believe, a little beer shop, beer bar where the Bardstown on Bardstown Road was.
Oh,
Fat
yeah.
Cats.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
Fat
right.
Cats.
Yep.
That
Yep.
was one of the spots that people went. I know Roger Baylor went there a lot, apparently.
And Richo's was another place too.
They would always have it on tap at Toy Tiger back when. No, they did not.
I even think John. You're pretty old. I don't think you're old enough for Toy Tiger.
No, no.
I've been there.
As a place?
I remember we used to go try to like see boobs from the parking lot when I was like 16 or something. That's my extent of Toy Tiger.
You can see them from the road.
Yeah,
This is a strip club?
No,
it was just like a.
that's the best part. It wasn't.
It was
just something-
just like
They were
a-
not licensed. for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That's why they're no longer here.
Yeah, it was wild. Not that I know. I just know stories that radio DJs
Well,
have told me
like
throughout
the
the
homemade
years.
bikini contest, the winner would be someone who just made the bottoms.
I miss Toy Tiger already.
Somebody has the sign. I can't remember who it was, but I saw some news story about the guy who made off with their like big neon sign that they had, some collector or something like that. Anyhow, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, as soon as you smell it, it just smells like American beer to me, American West Coast beer. They were one of the first ones. No, actually, I think Anchor Liberty used Cascade, but to me, I just associate Cascade hops with Sierra Nevada and that Chico yeast with Sierra Nevada. To me, being a 38-year-old man in 2023.
That's how old you are.
Yeah. I just, that defines West Coast Pale Ale / IPA to me. And I remember that exact thing you're saying about like, oh my God, the first time I think I would have tried it would have probably been like at a college party in Lexington back, circa 2005 or something like that. And like, we were used to drinking like Stroh's. I used to work at a grocery store where I could,
You reserve the right to not self-incriminate.
I played the fifth on this, but we would try to drink Heineken, and we were even like, "Oh, that's so bitter." It's like, but we would pretend we loved it. But then you try Sierra Nevada, and you're like, "Oh my God!" But then you just get a taste for those hops somehow.
Yeah.
It like you're
wins
saying, it
you
just makes
over.
you want more.
Mhm.
You just it's a beer that makes you want another sip.
Definition of acquired taste. I don't know if it's the first time I ever had Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, but I remember a very specific memory of me being somewhat freshly 21, 22, and unfortunately getting it at Gerstle's here in Louisville.
Nice.
And then I went to Gerstle's a few more times after that, and I just like had a habit of getting Sierra Nevada Pale Ale whenever I went there.
Yeah.
When Cumberland opened in 2000, they had a really good. Their pale ale was pretty much a Sierra clone, but it was fresh, you know, and it was delicious, really good.
What else we got here?
Yeah, let's work through one more of these, and then we don't have to rush through them all.
Yeah.
We can
Let's do
enjoy
it.
the next one over our segment. Let's do it. There's one
Not
behind you here.
not
Damon's
quite
got
a
it.
twist off. So old tried and true, Fat Tire by New Belgium.
Fat Tire Amber Ale specifically
Amberst of ales
For now.
for now.
For now.
So
This is one of those that it seems to be a little bit of a trend where they have decided to, I guess, deviate from the traditional recipe into a more quote unquote consumer friendly recipe, whatever the hell
Quote,
that
unquote.
means. Yeah. I mean, like, so I'm sure like money dictates a lot of this and sales numbers and whatnot. We'll get into trends later, but let's have a Fat Tire.
Yeah.
Fat Tire.
So you were telling me that this might be, and you might know more, but I bought this in anticipation of them changing the recipe, like when that news first came out, which was what, like 6 weeks ago or a month ago or whatever. But even by the time we heard about it, were they already starting to transition to the new recipe? So this is not actually old authentic Fat Tire.
it
This
looks
is-
so much lighter than what I
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
does. Old Fat Tire was
That's
rich
not an amber.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I think they started to put a little, but this is definitely the rep for New Belgium came by our store, and what she poured me the new was definitely lighter than this. So this
Okay.
is kind of
Wow.
a hybrid,
Yeah.
I would say.
and what David said earlier is that they might be blending.
Yeah, the new recipe was introduced over the last 5 to 6 months. So they've been slowly introducing that component of the new ale into the amber ale and testing the market on it, I assume.
Sure,
So this bottle, while we thought we were ahead of the curve of
we were not.
getting the old, I
It's
mean,
still got a
you,
little bit though.
but you can see, I mean, it's very
not-
like
it's
a
not an amber.
golden ale.
Yeah.
It's not. It's still super clear. I'm sure it's a technically sound beer, but this is not.
It's not Fat Tire.
Not Fat Tire.
It's not at all.
I've always said, like, I mean, I don't remember what things taste like. I've never been good at that. That's not a superpower that I have. So like, I don't typically remember beers that I've had, you know, even Sierra Nevada. Like, okay, I think that's whatever. But there was a time where I was drinking so much Fat Tire because basically I was trying to get a job with New Belgium, and I was doing that. So I was getting all their products all the time and just trying it. So I know exactly what their Fat Tire tastes like, and this is not it at
Yeah.
all.
It was always one of those that was a little more heavy on the caramel crystal malt kind of stuff. And that's not always something I always love, but in that beer, I really did appreciate it just because it was an American amber ale.
Let me set this scene for you. In the late 90s, people we knew would go to St. Louis and bring Fat Tire back to us. Yeah, that's
Did you have like
Yeah.
a Smokey and the Bandit situation
it,
going on?
it pretty much. Yeah.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Driving 4 hours.
No. I mean,
West.
if they were there
Yeah,
for
yeah,
something.
It's like when he
Oh,
used to
okay.
bring back Yingling or something.
yeah.
like-
It wasn't.
Yeah, Yingling from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I was part of that generation.
Same here.
But
Same
yeah,
here.
but
That's our connection.
we have fanatic friends that have driven out to Highwire in North Carolina to bring back, you know, some of the barrel aged stuff, and lo and behold, a mere 5 years later, we have one in our backyard. So
Yeah. First time I tried Fat Tire was probably 2005 or so or whatever, and took a vacation to Colorado, and like hectic. You're like traveling, and I was kind of into beer, but then we just like wandered around town and found this little pizza shop somewhere down in Denver, and we ordered a pitcher of Fat Tire, like being exhausted. And that just made me fall in love with it because it was so delicious, so refreshing, so good with pizza. And, you know, when you're in Colorado, everything I think tastes better.
When I moved in 2002, I moved to Nevada for a while, and that was right when I got there that month. Fat Tire launched in Nevada, so they were everywhere, and they were on tap everywhere, and it was just so good to have with food,
Yeah.
you know. And And if you were gambling, you got one free.
Nice.
So
Free.
You just put a penny in the
Here's-
slot every time the.
here's my question. Do we care that it changed? Like between the branding and the beer, like does anybody actually care?
It's not the same, but
Even like Brittany, the New Belgian rep, she goes, "Yeah, everybody that's complaining. When's the last time they ate
That's
that?"
That
exactly
was-
what I was
exactly.
going to say. Yeah.
All right, I did offer it. I got married this past March, very late in life, but I got married, and we had Fat Tire as an option because that was, I thought, a decent
People
option.
pleaser.
I had one.
But you know what? I didn't drink one that day. I had other
Well,
things.
it's kind of like you know what they say about their weddings. Like
Yeah.
you're so busy at your own wedding, you never get to even have your own fat tire. Your own piece of
yeah,
cake.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
I managed it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's the nature of the beast, and just people's tastes change. And I mean, they could have just discontinued it and just did an American blonde or an American pale.
I'd say a Gold Dale is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I'm glad Fat Tire is still out there because it really does hold true to me. But if I want it, I can always homebrew it. I can always make some Fat Tire.
I think the more sensible option from a longtime consumer, which I'm not, but I think the consumer part of it could have been that we could have launched a new brand and added some flair to it and changed it a little bit. And like these are 12-ounce bottles, they're going to cans, and the labeling is much different.
People were calling him out on the labeling too. They were comparing it to.
it looks like High Life.
Miller Lite.
Miller Lite, yeah.
yeah.
If you're gonna put in the work, it might have been advantageous to maybe scale back your production of Fat Tire. I mean, I don't know. I don't work for New Belgium,
Yeah.
so there's numbers and plenty of things I don't understand. But this would have been another option.
What I'm most fascinated by the entire thing is that Fat Tire already went through an identity rebrand a few years ago when they started marketing it towards they launched their own social media channels just for Fat Tire. So they were already
I
kind of
missed that.
separating from the New Belgium brand. It was going to be like a house of brands scenario for New Belgium.
Interesting.
And Fat Tire was like the cool skateboarding, snowboarding brand.
They would like give away bikes and like
You
Okay.
have one, don't you?
I did.
You son of a. It's a cool bike.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think if you're an employee, like 3 or 5 years?
After 1 year you get a bike.
Hi, I'd like to be employed.
Can I think
I'll
it's,
get
it's,
you a bike.
yeah. It's been a few years, so I can tell this. But like I said, I was vying for a job at New Belgium not once but twice. And there was a quick bar crawl during December that I went to, and one of the prizes was for a bike. And the New Belgium rep, I think, rigged the contest in my favor.
Stop the steal.
So, because I think she felt bad for me that I didn't get the job, so she's like, "Well, now I get the bike a year in advance."
It's like you worked there a year.
Consolation bike. Yeah.
Consolation prize on wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you tip this week on the Patreon, instead of paying for John's therapy,
Mm-hmm.
it'll go towards David's bike fund.
David's bike fund. What about my bike? All right.
It's an e-bike.
I'll talk about this in therapy this week.
Thank you.
You want to crack one more and then do a little ranking of some of the most nostalgic beers throughout the last 30 years? You want to do Boston Lager?
Yeah, let's
Save the stout for last?
let's see this out. The most unfettered one of the.
Right.
So as we crack Sam Adams Boston Lager, any nostalgic memories around that one? That's one that I would get it and I would always really like it. But it always just kind of felt like a staple. That was one that like the corner store in Lexington, would have in addition to like maybe Killian's or something other than just like Bud Light, Miller Lite, High Life, Stroh's, whatever.
Usually, the first thing I thought when I'd get a Sam Adams out is, okay, this wing restaurant does not clean their draft line.
What's funny is I was gonna say the exact same thing.
That's amazing.
Also, frosted mugs.
Oh yeah. The thing
And
actually,
that's not their fault. It's not
Yeah.
Sam Adams' fault. It's a good beer.
and they're a really good company. I actually meant to bring that up while we were talking about New Belgium, but it was always really easy to support them and want to pursue their products. And that's a lot of what craft beer is. That's different from big beer. It's just that
Well, the line
I
between
know,
Sam
I know.
Adams and Big Beer is quite.
Well, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
I mean, the way that the line adjusts every year to be slightly or to be designated as a independent craft brewery, it kind of falls on the line of where Sam Adams produces their barrelage. It's kind of a moving, floating target, if you will.
Yeah, you're right.
That's true.
Craft beer is dead in a way, but that's the reason craft beer is a word is only because Prohibition screwed everything up, and we're trying to get back to equilibrium where it's mass production versus niche production versus like what are people into? Is it punk rock? Is it culinary? Is it artisanal? Is it your favorite brand from when you were a kid? Is it what your grandfather drank?
I think people are into the traveling Wilburys.
Yeah, me too.
I always thought that the best thing about Boston Lager is that it's brewed in Cincinnati. That was always my favorite thing. And they have a tap room there too, which
Yeah,
I've
they do.
not been to. I'd like to go there soon. I think I don't really have a specific memory tied to this. I just know that my dad is one to always drink like Bud Light and Stellas. And so the times when we're out at dinner and he feels like trying to drink craft beer with me, he will get like, oh, I'll have a Sam Adams Boston Lager or Sam Adams Oktoberfest. And that's just what he gets into. And I think that's who it's kind of aimed towards, right?
Oh, that's it. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's a true Patriots beer.
But
Indeed.
I have now.
Indeed.
They're changing the recipe of this.
God damn it!
I didn't know that.
It's all of my childhood ruined.
So what are
Early adulthood.
I don't-
What's the scoop?
I don't know as much about this. I was told this by the New Belgium rep, so I don't know. If
of
this,
course, New Belgium would tell you that Sam
We're just
Adams.
So-
shitting all over Brittany Donahue this week. Aren't
no, I'm
we? Not shitting all over. Shout outs. Brittany,
shout
come on the
outs.
pod.
Yes,
She's great.
my favorite beer rep.
Same.
So
High
So
praise.
there's rumors that they might be reformulating as well.
yes, the rumors.
So amber ales and amber lagers are probably not the most hot selling beers right now. Is kind of what we're thinking.
I don't know if like I always Bell's Amber was fantastic,
Yeah.
but it's not distributed in Kentucky anymore. Now I think that was the distributor's decision, not Bell's, but.
I'm going there on Sundays, so I'll bring some back. I'd like to try that. I don't ever remember having it. Is there a name specifically?
Bell's Amber.
Can't miss it.
That's the good thing about Bell's. They're very straightforward.
They really are.
And all the beers are the same price.
Are they?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as we just want to like blast through some nostalgia is basically what we're doing here at this point. I've got a list of what in my mind are 22-ish craft beers, all of which I believe are American made, that at least in my mind were penultimate in some way. Established a style, perfected a style. It's stuff that people were just talking about over the past 20, 30, 40 years or whatever. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with like the Twitch like tier ranking system. I think this originally started with people ranking Super Smash Brothers characters on a power scale. S is like top tier, superlative, god tier basically. Then there's A, B, C, D, E, and then F. If you guys remember all those from middle school, so let's
middle school. Yeah.
it was all Fs.
Eighth grade, I learned my alphabet.
all
Yeah.
incompletes for me.
Yeah.
So we'll bust through these. If we have memories associated with them or stories, we can talk about it. Otherwise, let's see what we think. And if you're listening along, we'll put the list in our blog, and we'll give you guys some way to let us know what you think about these at LouisvilleAleTrail.com/blog. So I think I've got these right. They might be wrong, but I've put them in chronological order from the date the beer was first released, and so that means number 1, Anchor Liberty Ale, released allegedly, from what I could tell, in 1975. I haven't had an Anchor Liberty in a long time, but that to me is like the quintessential West Coast IPA. Have you had that one recently?
No, not recently at all.
Any
but,
thoughts or memories about it?
I mean, I'm giving it an A right away.
All right.
Now, maybe not an S, but that's just me. You don't have to go if you don't think.
I don't
we're
even
going-
know if
we're
I've-
going with
I've
you.
never had
Okay.
it.
I don't think I've ever had it.
It used to be on. Okay, you know where? Anybody familiar with Baxter Station, the
Mhm.
restaurant? Okay, they used to have it on tap there a lot. Yeah, and it was great. So, that's maybe that skews for me, but
No,
I still
I would
have
agree.
some people very old people that come in and buy it. It's good for a case a week.
So you can still. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. It's
So
like
you can still get it?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know. Like, I don't think I've ever even seen it on shelves recently. So.
That's not the steam beer.
No,
right?
The
no.
steam beer is like that really old school, like just California
It's a
common
common,
recipe.
See,
and they
I
were the
love
ones.
that beer.
They're the ones who
I
kept
think it's
that
good.
going.
Yeah, I think it's good.
But then, what I can't. Do you remember the gentleman's name? Oh God, if I heard it, because he is also in good company here. Beer royalty.
Probably more than me, I'd say.
It was the guy from Maytag who bought Anchor, wasn't it? Vince Maytag.
Vince Vaughn.
I'll look it up when you guys have it. When I have a
Vince
second
McMahon.
here. But yeah, so they owned that company, and then eventually they were like, "Hey, screw it! Like, let's do this West Coast IPA thing." And they were like the first to use Cascade hops, which were these hops they were trying to learn how to grow in America. Like Charlie Papazian was screwing around in his kitchen. Jimmy Carter was going to legalize home brewing. It was kind of when we started coming back from Prohibition, with just large companies owning everything that had to do with beer and letting it get back into like the hands of farmers and brewers and malters and independent retailers and restaurateurs and stuff. So on that basis, I also give it an A tier. Is it the best IPA in the world? Well, everybody's opinions are going to differ about that. It'd be a tough argument to make. But is it the best IPA in the world in that context? I think so. A tier, Anchor Liberty. And I think that's the yeast strain that still gets used. I think White Labs cultured that one as WOP051, which I think also eventually migrated to become the house yeast strain of Bell's. So also historical in that way. Speaking of historical yeast strains, we just tried a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I put that as number 2. That was released, I think, in 1980. Where do we rank that one?
It's got to be S tier.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's everywhere. You can still get it, and everybody has a memory still attached to it. So I'll do
Okay.
that.
I'm not going to argue with you guys there.
And what I've noticed is we sell so many more 12 packs of that than 6 packs. And that's one of the few beers.
Because it's a crusher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something you just want to have in your fridge.
Well, one of the few craft beers. Obviously, we're going to sell, the domestics, but in larger format. But yeah,
If I see it in a 6-pack and I see it in a 12-pack, I'm probably going to buy a 12-pack too.
Most
So
people
that
do.
connects. Number 3, Sam Adams Boston Lager, which we also just got to try, released in 1985. Where do you guys put that one? And how do we want to make that determination?
I don't have the nostalgia aspect of it. It's a good beer. From the last time I had it, it's the exact same. It's got those big toasty notes. It's not my favorite, but I don't know. We're lending to historical bias, so
You have something in your heart that you want to say. Give it.
I'm not the right
S, A, B,
person
C, D.
for this.
You want to give it a stab?
I don't have a lot of nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
So I would say B on just, but that's, maybe that's wrong. But
There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong answers here. And
I was-
Beer Advocate won't agree, and
I was
Untapped
floating
won't
towards
agree.
D.
I was floating towards C, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
we could
that's
go
fine.
right in the middle.
no, C's fine.
Yeah, I was a C student in English. I can speak the language. I'm not fucking Shakespeare. Like, come on, that's Boston Lager to me. All right, so S.A. Boston.
What does that mean?
Come on, I can speak the language.
So
I'm not fucking
Boston
Shakespeare.
Lager is reading the Cliff Notes version
Yeah,
of Family.
yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
And number 4 is another one we just tried, New Belgium Fat Tire Amber Ale, released in 1991. Let's go with the original formulation, just for the sake of this this essay or this exercise. What do you think?
I think A is the lowest it can be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a definition of a style.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. If you want to go try an amber, it's like, hey, get the fat tire.
Yeah,
Try that,
I
yeah.
agree. All right. Let's go Fat Tire. Also in the A tier. And we'll put all these in the show notes for you guys to criticize. The next one is when things started getting kind of wacky and wild. The next one released in 1992, which is nuts. Goose Island, Bourbon County brand stout. What do you guys think?
It has to be number 1
That's
with Sierra
S.
Nevada, right?
S tier?
That's S tier.
It's
I
still
think.
relevant
I think
to
it's
everybody.
still S tier. Yeah.
I'm not a thick boy, but I'll go with your all. I'm not a stout guy. Like that's not where I gravitate. But just in terms of the historical context, I agree. That's a very important beer.
I mean, wait, hold on. Are we going towards personal preference, or are we going towards like what
I
it
think
means to the community?
To me, this is both.
To me,
It's
it's
still good.
intertwined.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like you
well,
are leaning more towards personal preference. So
all right, 80. I don't know. It's really just is where it's what's more. How much is it important? Because even though it's not
It's
a beer
still-
I care for, it's a beer that
Yeah.
defined a style. And I don't know. I'm very comfortable putting it in S tier, even though it's not something I would drink over a Pilsner Urquell or a Coors Banquet.
All right, move to the next one.
All right,
We're
all right,
done.
all right. So Goose Island.
You're just ranking
Sorry.
arbitrary beers now.
Next one is another weird one, and this might be something that sparked some conversation. Released in 1994, Magic Hat number 9.
G,
Yeah? Wait, what's G?
the worst.
Okay. So you're not wrong. It's been a long time since I had a Magic Hat number 9. Longer than I can
I
even
love
honestly
West
remember.
6.
They also got into some controversy here for filing one of the first Kentucky-based like C&D or trademark
US?
controversies.
U.S.
One of the first ones
Based, I
US-based?
think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's
It's always been giant breweries coming after Kentucky
So
breweries.
They were
Yeah.
the original douchebags, so congratulations.
yeah. And the beer was weird as
How about
hell.
a D for douchebag?
So
Too
the
much
one
credit.
thing I'll give to Magic Hat number 9 is that they did it started. I worked in the homebrew store when it was popular at my old Kentucky homebrew, and people would come in and be like, "Hey, can you give me a recipe for Magic Hat number 9?" I go, "Fuck," because then I have to explain to people how you incorporate apricot into a homebrew, and then they're like, so I have to buy like a $30 jug of like apricot puree as well. Let's go D on Magic Hat number 9 as well, because it's not good, and they're douchebags.
yeah.
Am I right or wrong? What do you think?
No, you're right.
They paved the way for Keystone Brewing to sue Stone Brewing of Kentucky.
All right, what are a couple more that we got?
All right, we're going to move on now to, oh, well, you just mentioned Stone. Arrogant Bastard, released in 1997. What do you guys think?
That's low on the list. for
Low,
me.
but still culturally relevant, more so than Magic Hat.
B then.
Okay, I'm good with that. It's kind of gross, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
gross.
Maybe a C then.
I would put Stone, like, IPA as a B, maybe.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Arrogant Bastard's not
I mean,
great.
even in like 2017, we were still buying it at beer store though.
That's true.
It was always on the shelf.
You want to give it a B?
Like we were always getting new orders. And
You want
that's
to give
what
it
I
a
mean
C+?
by
plus?
C plus.
All right.
that. Sure, C plus.
Next, we were going to mention Bell's Two Hearted, I think, which was released in 1997.
S.
Yeah,
No, that's an S
it's an
tier.
S
Yeah,
tier,
it's
right?
Personally, yes.
It's still good now.
I agree. It's one of my favorite beers in the world. And we debated putting this on there because it's not like a beer that revolutionized anything.
It's not a nostalgia beer either because we still sell
Yeah.
a decent amount of it.
It's
yeah.
it's my go-to when I don't know what else to get. I'm either getting a High Life or Two Hearted.
And I think it's one of those examples of like, it's hard to say perfecting, but they almost did just perfect that kind of an IPA. It's so consistent. It's so good. It's centennial. It's clean yeast. It's not clear. It's hazy. And it's freaking amazing all the time.
Let's round it out with the top 10.
Oh, come on, guys. All right. Widmer Brothers. Do you remember Widmer Brothers?
Yeah.
All right. Widmer Brothers Hefeweizen.
Oh God, what is that?
You hate it?
Yeah, I
All
couldn't
right.
stand it.
Widmer Brothers Heffa. I'm not the biggest Heffa fan either, but
So-
I
so
will
that got
put it
an
in
F.
there.
You
Yeah.
know, they sued Great
They were
Lakes.
another one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Great Lakes had a beer called Alchemy Hour, and they made them change it to Chill Wave.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Oh.
You
I've
know,
had Chill Wave.
yeah, Chill Wave was great.
Yeah.
And Alchemy, their beer sucks. So
All right. We'll blast through the last few here.
No, there's only one more.
Oh, no. Come on, guys. This is a good segment. This is what the people want to hear. Dogfish Head 90 minute. Average.
C.
How about Russian River Pliny the Elder?
It's
that's an S.
It's got to be, right?
I mean, it's just not. I mean, it's just not accessible to this region, really. So that's my only qualms with it. But that's
All right. Let me pick out the other couple interesting ones here. Alltech Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale. It was very important culturally to have here in Kentucky because it was something people liked. It was something people would seek out, but it was not the best beer in the world. I'm comfortable giving it a C or a D. I don't know. What do you guys
that
think?
E spot looks pretty lonely.
Yeah, an E. Okay.
An F.
All right.
It hasn't aged well. If it was good at one point in time, it has significantly declined.
And then the other one I think we should shout out is Heady Topper, released in 2011. That was
These-
kind of the start of the New England craze.
Was it?
Well, was it? That's what I put it on here. What do you guys think in terms of how much you enjoy it versus how much historical relevance it has? Where should it go on this tier
Oh,
list?
it's an S.
Yeah, I enjoy it tremendously.
All right.
It still is.
One of the ones people seek out. It's always good. It's super consistent. So bringing it back to Louisville then, in 2012, Against the Grain released Citra Ass Down. Where do you guys want to put that one in terms of deliciousness, relevance, personal love? I think it's a solid beer. I will not give it, the same as Heady, because there is a little bit of variation in the consistency. It's not always as good as a Heady Topper or a Bell's Too Hard it is. Still a solid beer. I'd be okay giving it a B tier. What do you guys think?
Oh man, I think it's A beer for sure.
There you go. We can give it A beer
Let's
for
go with
Citra.
C for Citra Ass Down.
Okay, well, we'll meet in the middle then. We'll put it on the B tier.
All right, and that's been a lot of beers that we have ranked here, and only a few have taken the top spot.
Okay, well, we need a bottom, so I'll do one more. We're jumping back in the list. 2007 release, Southern Tier, Pumpkin. Where are you guys going to put
I
it?
actually like that beer.
I was going to give that the F. I was like holding out one for an F. I can't
If
stand
it
Pumpkin.
was Warlock, I would.
the rum barrel one.
That would have been better. But
All right,
yeah,
well, we'll go
B for me.
a B for you on Pumpkin?
I like it.
Oh.
It's the only pumpkin beer that I like.
Besides
Besides-
Schlafly Pumpkin Ale.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sure.
That's very good.
All right. Well, my segment is now over after your all's protestation. But I don't know. It's fun to kind of look back and think about all these beers that I think were very important in getting to where we are now. And it was interesting to me in kind of searching through these and looking for like just important beers. Not that much stands out, at least in my mind as an older person, after like 2012, 2013, 2014. I don't know. Does that resonate with you all? Has all of the great beer been the generation of the past? And are all the kids these days just all on TikTok?
I don't know why you have to.
I just like to shit on TikTok sometimes.
I would say that maybe Julius from Treehouse.
I had that on my list.
Hit that. Maybe took that to a different. I'm not saying it's even better. But it's different enough.
To me, I
Than
I
Heady
wrote down
Topper,
Treehouse on here too because if Heady Topper started it, I feel like Julius perfected the style to what it is now. Like they brought the New England IPA home, so to speak.
Someone actually brought me a little care package back from there, like maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And I prefer Julius to King Julius or the Julius with 50 S's at the end of it. All that.
Bunch of J's.
Yeah, a bunch of all the J's. But because it was just perfect.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can answer this question based on actual like sales data, or you're just what you're seeing every day. But what are the trends right now that you're seeing in your position? Or rather, what is it just the same thing like everybody other outside of domestic beers? Everybody's pretty much trying the same stuff like Sierra Nevada, or have they kind of moved on as a class?
What we see, other than I'm not going to count domestic
Sure,
or White Claw or anything like that.
But if you're saying that you see more White Claw being sold than some of these beers, maybe that's something.
Oh no, especially in the summer, not necessarily White Claw anymore because
Topo Chico
there's so many.
and
it's the number one category.
Yeah.
In because it's in the beer department, I have to order it.
Yep.
So it's the number one category. Other than that, people want local beer. They really do. And especially out in the East End, there's not a lot of local beer, places to get local beer. So they come in and they want it.
Because they're not coming into the tap rooms per se.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Because it's 50 miles away
50.
of the worst traffic you'll ever endure.
The worst traffic exists in Middletown for approximately a 5 mile span.
Yes, I know.
And
We're also spoiled in Louisville that like bad traffic in Louisville is a
very minimal.
great day in Chicago. or
That's
whatever.
true. Oh, of course.
we don't talk about the traffic in Middletown though.
So, but you have craft beer drinkers that you've seen shifted from wanting these national, regional beer brands that have been tried and true to something that, okay, hey, there's a new mile wide release that I really want to try, and they just start canning into distribution. I want to try it.
Anytime I put an Atrium IPA or mile wide IPA on draft, it's gonna go pretty quickly. Another thing though, I have put 3 Juice Force kegs from New Belgium on, and they have never Thursday. They're gone by Monday.
Yeah, those
everyone.
are
Now there's 6
delicious.
barrels, but we're not a bar. It's not constant. You know,
It's the most successful craft beer launch
Yes.
in history.
it's
I mean,
fantastic too.
yeah.
I mean, I'll give them credit. It is delicious.
So your point about there not being like mini breweries out in the Easton area at the Middletown Liquor Barn that you
Yeah.
work at and buy the beer for, people come to your
Yeah.
bar to try stuff from around the city. You mentioned Thursdays.
Yeah. Every Thursday we have a pint night. Starts at 5, ends around 7:38. That way, you know, it's an early night. You go out afterwards if you want, you know. And if you're in town, if you're out in the middle of, if you're on the way to Frankfurt and your car breaks down,
Oh my gosh.
well, that's Middletown. I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, come on
And
out.
you get to try stuff. It's like
Yeah.
it rotates every week, and you guys always have some curated, like really good stuff on that you're not going to find everywhere.
Well, we do have people that come actually from
Yeah.
in this area to come out. Yeah. I mean, we did have, we had Morning Delight from Toppling Goliath on, and we had,
Which one's that?
that's their,
Some maple
Morning
coffee.
Delight is KBBS without being
Okay.
barrel aged.
Gotcha.
Okay, basically. And we had the Turmoil S'mores, which is basically, you can't call it that, but it's assassin with s'mores flavoring.
Allegedly,
Yeah.
in
Allegedly.
Minecraft.
Yes, and they were expensive. It was $13.50 for a 6-ounce pour,
Wow.
and that's us. We actually took a little bit less of a cut on
Yeah.
just to because it's an expensive keg. But if people want it, they'll pay for it.
So you're
no
basically
matter.
seeing the same trends though that tap rooms might be seeing too right now.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think that more breweries should explore the east end of Louisville as a potential destination?
Yeah, and I think they are too. Atrium's going to open in
Norton
Norton
Commons.
Commons.
Yeah.
Middletown is still a little. They got their Holsopple and Linden, and then you've got like Third Turn in J Town.
Yeah.
I could see a little. I could see somebody popping up in Middletown.
Maybe a brewery tap room / Chicago thin slice pizza joint.
Ooh, yeah. Oh well, Great Flood is out there too, but I don't know if they have any beer on tap in Middletown. So
Yeah.
that's good.
my dream is that for someone to open like an old school bar, but sell either Chicago thin crust tavern style pizza or New Jersey thin crust. Either one, I don't care.
Does it have to be square cut?
Huh?
Does it have to be cut into squares?
Yes, of course, tavern cut.
Of course.
Yeah,
Okay. Tavern cut.
Tavern Cut.
I've never heard it referred to as that.
I've never heard of New Jersey style pizza.
yeah.
All right.
It's like the Chicago style, but it's even thinner.
I love
Yeah.
a good thin crust. I like a deep, nice crust too, but there is something to be said about a good thin crust pizza.
Yeah, it's best where you're drinking beer.
It's like a tapa almost.
Yeah,
If
it's
you-
true.
If you wanted to be fancy. Delicious with some craft beer. Do you want to do a show and tell? That could be the stout if we wanted to crack that, or if there's other stuff in the wings.
What did you bring us, Todd?
Oh, not brought
Stout.
this.
Let's
Okay,
do this
no.
one. This is one of those beers too. We didn't talk about it in the listing just because of focusing mostly on American stuff. This is English beer, right?
Yeah.
Sam Smith is another one of those like just classic things that people would seek out. Sorry about that. Terrible noise. Sorry, audience.
Everybody's like, ah.
They have their IPA, which is a really like very English style IPA, which is so much different than the American. What is their other big one that they
Chocolate
do?
stout.
Yeah, the chocolate one that they do is delicious. And
They have
then
a Taddy Porter. I don't know what Taddy means, by the way. I just like to say it.
Come on.
Isn't that like somebody that drives a horse and carriage?
let's go with yes. Let's
No,
go with yes.
that's
on
a
that.
that's a tabby
Hmm.
or cabbie. It's a cabbie.
Anyway, Taddy Porter, but yeah, Sam Smith like has made amazing beer for a long time, predating all of this hypeness, and they still put out amazing stuff, which I always appreciate having a small pour of.
Well, and I do remember, and this was probably a one-off, going back to Cumberland Brews, they made an oatmeal stout. I'm guessing 2008 or so, 9, something like that. And it was amazing.
Nice, yeah. They were one here in town. They were one of the first ones I can remember too. That they would always put their porter on nitro at Cumberland.
Mhm.
That was one of the first places you can go get a nitro beer.
Yeah.
People still ask for like a nitro porter to this day, and that's another one of those homebrew times where you're like, okay, how do I explain this? To make a nitro porter, you just have to make a porter and put it on nitrogen.
So Todd, why this beer?
because this is probably the first stout I ever had,
It's so good.
and it's just classic.
Yeah. Went through BJCP training a little bit, beer judge certification program.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID, and we essentially tasted through many styles. It was kind of how you train yourself to identify and find the guidelines and everything else. This was the oatmeal stout, that was presented as the absolute ideal example.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
always
so
going to be that way.
It's so like dry that it almost tastes smoky. Like that roasted barley profile. And is that like a Burton-on-Trent water? I can't remember where this brewery is located in England. If it's one of those like,
It's actually brewed in Cincinnati, Ohio.
is it really?
No.
I will fucking kill myself if I'm wrong about that. Because I was going to say the water profile.
Well,
oh, no, you're, oh my God.
That's the other Sam. That's the other Sam.
Oh, no,
New
that's
Belgium.
the
I mean, Newcastle is brewed at
Yorkshire.
Lagunitas now.
This is one of those Yorkshire beers. So you're getting that like very English like water profile that accentuates that tannic little bitterness from that roasted barley. Yeah, that's such a good beer, dude. It's classic.
So you're saying the trends of the 2020s are to have other people brew your beer and then eventually change the recipe?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also be brewed somewhere else.
Yeah.
So one other final question that I had here. How would you describe, we've talked about the evolution of beer from, back in the 80s and 90s and 2000s and 2010s. How would you describe the change of the average, because you've been in the game for a little while, selling beer to people and just being around beer nerds, the change in the beer consumer or the craft beer lover back from the days of Silo to today? Who were those people back then? What was on the radio? And who's drinking beer now that you see coming in?
Well, I mean, the net has expanded. It's a wider net now. It used to be, someone with a monocle, maybe.
Roger Baylor.
Yeah, or a cigarette on a long extender.
Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah. And now it could be anyone. And somehow, because I'm going to say this, bourbon nerds have ruined bourbon. Bourbon is ruined. And somehow beer has not been ruined. So
Yet.
I'll give you, yeah.
We're working on it
Yeah. No.
with this podcast right now.
Ruined as far as like pricing goes or allocation.
Yeah, people standing in line, people getting one bottle of something that's, and then paying someone to go in and get them a second one so they can make $30 off of it. I mean, it's so good.
I think that happens in beer.
Not as much, believe me.
I know that both of you guys have done that too. So we're the pure ones here.
No, it's the scale is not as, I understand. I've waited in line for beer like an idiot before.
It's kind of just like the social media thing. It's like before social media, before the internet, it was about you going into a place and enjoying something.
Yeah.
Now that there's this whole secondary market and the fact that you can like kids these days, okay? I'll just start with that. Kids these days. But half of the experience might be like taking a picture to put on your social media or like to share, to like check into your Untapped. It's just so different in my limited experience where it was, you watched the last episode of Cheers in silos. Like that was a different world than we're in now.
It was a different world.
Yeah.
Sure. But I mean, I also will watch, certain like show finales or sports at different breweries.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Still there for community purposes. It's not like I'm just like standing in line and just like taking photos of the beers exclusively. I think I still do that, but not exclusively.
You're right. You're right.
And I don't know, is Untapped even like being used anymore? Do you see that much on your end?
I don't use that stuff.
Yeah,
same
but do you see people using it at on your pint nights?
Every once in a while.
Yeah. So it's not like a thing that's necessarily and then people younger than me probably don't even know what it is necessarily.
Yeah, maybe I'm jaded. Maybe I'm like living 3 or 4 years ago where it all started to kind of go like down a strange path. Maybe we're pulling back.
I actually can't tell you the last time I saw somebody younger than me checking in a beer on Untapped.
Like taking a picture of a beer at a bar. Yeah,
I mean, that happens, but like I just don't think anybody's just like reviewing beers on their phone while they're at the bar younger than me.
Well, because the the review part of it was just the swing of I had this and you didn't, and like to Todd's point, bourbon's ruined by sort of the scarcity model. I think is the root of that evil. The fact that you do have to wait
that's a
12
thing.
hours in a line to potentially.
And it doesn't take 8 years to make a good beer.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
I mean, if you age a stout for 2 years and you know what you're doing, it's going to be a good stout. A 2-year-old bourbon is not going to be good.
Right.
Yeah. So
Well,
maybe I shouldn't blame the people as much as I do.
I'm
that's
with
fair.
you. I want to blame the kids.
Somebody feeds the machine.
Some of these people that do this are as old as me or older. I mean, it doesn't have it. I'm not blaming young people. I'm not one of those guys yet.
I am.
So thank you very much for bringing all these beers in and this Samuel Smith Stout. It's been a long time since I've had the Oatmeal Stout expression specifically. And we're talking about 2-year-old bourbon stouts and everything, bourbon barrel stouts. One of the things that's coming up mid-month in February is Holsopple in Linden. They're celebrating their 6th anniversary as a brewery, and one of the things that they always like to release is their Big Hand Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels. I think they're doing some celebrations February 16th through 18th, that Thursday through Saturday night. They're doing live music and the Big Hand release plus variants.
Oh wow, they're great
Yeah,
guys.
they're
They're great people. They are, and from the bartenders to the owners, they're great. They're all great people.
They're great. They're the neighborhood brewery that is needed outside of the water zone.
No, definitely.
Yep.
And there are only a couple examples of that right now, unfortunately, in Louisville. Some of those variants that I mentioned include a peanut butter version, a toasted coconut version, and then a chocolate covered cherry.
Interesting.
I remembered a few years ago, and I wish they bring this back, but it was like a bacon version. And
Ooh.
Yeah.
on part of the flight, they actually gave you a little piece of bacon with the beer.
Oh man,
I think
I
it was-
missed that one.
I think it was a maple bacon.
Yeah, maple bacon.
Hell
Yeah.
It was really good.
They're a great example. Like they've grown tremendously. They've done very well out there. They've found their niche core, like Cheers patron bar customers who just love going there after work to have a beer. And I doubt a lot of them are putting it on TikTok. So yeah, cheers to Holsopple. You guys are freaking great.
And they have a ton of live music all
Yes.
the time.
All the
if,
time.
If you kind of want to just go see a low-key show, just pop in on a Friday or a Saturday. A lot of times there'll be somebody play it out in the tent and people play indoors too. So I think they've established themselves well beyond a brewery into a little bit of a music venue.
Yeah.
But another really good music venue in town is Gravely. They are known as for calling themselves the Music Brewery here in Louisville as well. And I think we have some news about them.
Yes, so at the end of 2022, they have a food truck out back that has been vacated, formerly known Mayan Cafe, which still exists, by the way, just not at Gravely.
Oh yeah, Mayan Cafe is an amazing place downtown.
Stay
One
One
of the
Lane.
best
It's
places.
amazing. They were doing a food truck there.
Correct. And they have decided to take it a little bit more on the catering side of things and kind of continue that leg of the business, which has opened up an opportunity for a very notorious cheeseburger joint to go in.
Ooh.
So we're going to have
I love it.
So
we
so
were wondering.
there's going to be a little Toasties there.
Little Toasties.
Little Toasties.
Are they calling it Lil Toasties?
I sure as hell hope so.
No, I think they are.
I'll go there if they call it Lil Toasties.
Yeah.
Little Toasties.
I'll go there too.
So Toasties is Germantown, Schnitzelberg, Shelby Park's like
Greater Germantown,
Greater Germantown.
if
You
you
know,
may.
let's just come
Greater
on.
Germantown.
Like patty melt, like
Smash burger joint.
smash burger joint. Yeah.
It's a diner that's
Well,
not open past
So
10.
it's not called
Yeah.
a diner. Or open before 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know the guys who opened that place, and I loved them. I think they're amazing human beings and really good business owners. So I'll be very, very good to see what they can do, like on that small scale, super dialed in, like food truck business model. I think it's going to be good to go with some Gravely beer.
So speaking of limited hours, Lonnie's. Has anybody ever been to Lonnie's?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Oh
The
yeah,
shark-
the
is
burger,
that
the
the
hot
shark
dog,
hot dog?
and
Yeah.
and Italian beef sandwiches.
Yes.
But
Hell yeah.
but they are open literally from like 11:30 to 1. I think. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think I might need a Lonnie's
Yeah.
beefsteak right now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. I was hungry.
Yeah, they're closed.
Yeah. It's lunch only there.
I took my company mandated 30-minute lunch and I didn't make it to Lonnie's in time. I'll try again tomorrow.
It's great though.
It is good. In more regional news, we had talked about back in the day, Fat Tire kind of establishing its own brand outside of New Belgium. As of today, Braxton has announced that they are splitting off from the Braxton brand specifically for garage beer, with its own production facilities and tap rooms. A brand that they've been pushing for the last 2 to 3 years, along with their seltzer brand Vive, which was an NBA sponsor at one point in time. They've decided to focus their efforts into garage beer. The story behind garage beer has kind of been that Braxton started in a garage. It's a nice American lager. There's literally nothing wrong with it. I can't say anything bad about it.
No.
And talking about in the large formats, they sell it in a
15
a
pack.
15 pack. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
And it's at the right price point. But it's interesting to see someone in the regional area try and tackle the national brand scene, if you will,
Yeah, you're right.
and really push this thing out. Because when was the last time a Fat Tire or a Pale Ale or a High Life came around, and who the hell would have thought they'd been from Kentucky?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and by the way, garage beer is just like Pilsner, right? I mean, it's
It's just a lager.
lager, yeah.
Just regular lager.
It's garage beer.
It's garage beer.
Yeah, I know all about garage beer, man. I'm tied into that brand. I love it. So yeah, that's super exciting to see what they'll do with that, and I don't know where that'll go. We're following and drinking along. Any final thoughts? You guys have anything we want to kind of shout out or plug this week? We could start with things going on at Liquor Barn. Anything you guys are excited about, or beers everybody should come in and try or buy? Come to Pint Night.
We are excited about nothing. Just kidding. Shop Liquor Barn. No, I'm just kidding.
In all seriousness, though, like it is a place where anybody who's listening to this can go and be able to find not only like a lot of good Louisville beer, but you guys get some of the best craft beer, kind of like some of these things that you've heard on this list. Some of these just beers that everybody should try, in addition to all the other stuff that you guys have, bourbon and wine
And people like
snacks
Todd.
and cheese. Yeah, and Todd.
Go
Come
in.
Come hang out with Todd.
Go in and ask.
Yeah.
I mean, he might look at you funny, but he's definitely got an answer for
I
you.
mean, I pretend to be someone else, but
Yeah. Well,
But-
I mean, Liquor Barn was the first place
Oh, yes.
that Louisville Ale Trail retailed passports out to outside of the tap room space and our own website. So for that, we'll be forever, grateful for Jessica and Liquor Barn at the time.
Yeah.
David, what do you got to plug?
I'm going to shout out Royal Oil. This is a damn good
Yeah,
beer.
it's very good.
Thank you, Tristan. This is really good. This is a special beer that only comes out once a year, and just got a second little skosh of it, and pretty happy about that.
Hell yeah.
John?
I will plug Liquor Barn. We talked about it a little bit before you came in, and you guys don't do it anymore. But back when I was first getting into homebrewing, that was a place that I could go to pick up a pack of dry ale yeast or a pack of like an extra fermenting bucket or a bottle capper or whatever. So even though that it's a hard business model, I
Well, see,
understand that.
Okay, that's the reason.
Yeah.
Because you understand it's a full-time.
Oh, yes.
Thanks.
And your yeast will expire and your
Yes.
inventory will go bad
Yes,
and
it
people
will.
are homebrewers or
So when you have somebody pulled in 20 different directions because of other things, it grew to be very hard.
But even so, I would still give you all a shout out just because, you didn't have to do it. It was probably not financially advantageous. But the fact that you guys did do that when all this stuff was coming up, the only reason that Louisville is as good of a beer city as it is today is because of all the homebrewers who kind of came up, in that same time, drinking beer at Silo, drinking beer at Brownings and, BBC and all that stuff. That's why we are where we are. And you guys had a lot to do with that in the growing stage. So shout out and thank you. Liquor Barn.
On my end, shout out to... Well, yeah, I just have to plug The Last of Us on HBO. Specifically, and particularly episode 3. It was fantastic. It was a great piece of television. The entire first 3 episodes have been great, but number 3 just hit differently. Wasn't expecting that. I never played the game at all, so I was in for just a little bit of a shock about this entire thing. By the time this episode airs, we'll already have seen episode 4, so maybe that'll be better. I doubt it, but episode 3 was damn near perfect TV.
Okay. I need to check it out. You guys were right about the menu, by the way. I watched it. It was good.
It was good. I enjoyed the menu. Some people didn't. It was. Also on Netflix. Who has seen Dairy Girls? Dairy Girls?
Fuck yeah,
Yes,
dude.
yes.
Dude, did you watch The Last of It?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
the Last of Us? The Last
Yeah.
of the Dairy Girls?
Yes. So it's 3 seasons and an English, European
Irish.
season, Irish, but European season is 6 episodes. So you can get through it pretty quickly.
And it's fucking great. It's
Yeah.
about these girls who live in like rural-ish Ireland back in like it kind of spans like the mid 90s, basically, ending like in the late 90s. But that was back during all of the like
Troubles,
Sinead
they call
O'Connor
it.
times. Yeah, between the IRA, Northern Ireland, the Protestants and the Catholics.
I appreciate the fact that people are just getting blown to smithereens and they
Dude.
called it the Troubles.
Yeah.
The troubles.
You know,
Yeah.
Like if I have cold coffee, that's the Troubles. But you know.
Me and Courtney watched the final episode on our projector a couple nights ago, and I was trying to trying to hide my like tears during like just it ending. I was like,
But also, it's hysterically funny.
oh, it's great. Oh yeah, it's like funny
Yeah.
as shit show. That's why
Yeah.
it was so sad it was over. Yeah, shout out Jerry Girls.
Yeah.
Well, Todd, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We
Oh,
really
thanks
appreciate
for
you
having
coming
me.
on,
Thank you.
sharing
Thank you.
beers. I know I need to get back home and apparently watch the Dairy Girls on Netflix.
Yes.
So I'm going to go and do that. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I have an IRA.